Hey there survivors, how's it going? Welcome back to Ark Survival Evolved. Today I'm going to share 10 hidden base locations on Valguero. These are aimed mainly at solo players or small tribes. All work on official as always, so without further ado, let's get into the video. So this first location's around 32.190 and it's down in the Aberration zone. And it's near the vertical waterfall entrance, like the hole in the water. Now, big tribes have a tendency of blocking off the Aberration zone, so if you're going fresh on a small tribe server or something, then just check the entrance before just jumping down there with parachutes and all your loot. But then on this giant metal structure against the wall on the right, you can actually kind of build up here. You can't normally, so that's why I think people won't really scout this place that often. So as you can see, normally you can't put foundations or metal foundations or pillars or anything up here. So I don't think people even try and build up here normally on official servers. But this rock specifically, you can't do the ones that overhang, but this rock is fine for a triangle foundation. And then what's great is that the regular foundations will just snap onto this surface then once you manage to get a triangle foundation snapped. So you can have a play about with some different angles and yeah, then you can fill out the rest of this place with triangle ceilings. So this is my little quick put together at the moment, and there's still quite a lot of floor space already. So then especially if you could like put a pillar and then maybe snap more foundations along if you want even more coverage. But it's pretty tucked away being up there, and because you can't take any flyers down into the Aberration zone, then people are only going to be looking up here if they're going to go up with a Bloodstalker or a Rock Drake or something else. Well, that was the first spot anyway. Let's head over to location number 2. Right, this next location's around 44.9, 64.8, and this is down in the Aberration zone as well. And this is just a little startup spot if you want to just come and get some things together down in the Ab zone before moving somewhere else down here. But it is pretty well tucked away, especially with the permanent terrain shrubbery there keeping it cover. And this rock just basically looks all the same when you're going around it, so unless someone's coming really close, I don't think they're going to find your base. And again, this is more of a startup spot if you just want to come here for a couple of days to get some things ready to move to a better base location. But you've got enough room in there for your smithy, fabricator, forges, bed, probably fridge. You could probably wall off the front and still keep it really well covered as well. And it's close to loads of resources, and there's crabs near for some easy polymer. Alright, let's move on to a similar-ish sort of location, but with a lot more room for starting off with. So this next location's just around the corner at 46.4, 68.6. And you have a lot more room in this place to build and start breeding, etc. if you wanted to. But you're kind of relying on the cover from this big piece of terrain shrubbery here. So it does go off the edge of a ledge on this side, but then it connects to the ground over to the left on the other side over here, so it's not really a properly elevated base location to easily defend. So that's why I'm calling this more of a startup spot, but again, you could have a good little sized tribe. And I put a foundation in that corner bit just to show that that's not really very hidden, but this bit shouldn't be seen generally from most angles unless you're looking from directly over the from the lake. But not badly covered. The only thing I'm not sure of is if people have really hard iron eyes, does it get rid of all that permanent shrubbery terrain? Because if it does, then that's the only thing that's going to blow your cover. But I'm using an iron eye, but mine's not a really hard iron eye, and I've still got all this shrubbery terrain, but then I've still got the tops of trees as well. Anyway, let's head on to the next base location. Right, we're back out on the surface now at 74.8, 59.3. And this is a little cheeky cave I came across that I'm sure is probably known by quite a few people. But there's two entrances to it. There's one little kind of choked off water entrance. So obviously make sure that you don't build too close to the water, otherwise someone's going to be able to raft raid you. But then you've got a lot of space in here, as you can see. And then it drops down, so you've got a ledge that you can put a turret wall on. And normally at this gap, there's two big rocks that are covering that you actually need to harvest to actually make the hole visible. Now, if you've got your view distance on low or medium, you should be able to see the hole just by approaching it from this side because the rocks won't render in before the hole. So when you come in this side as well, you've got a ledge above the entrance that you could put some turrets on to actually shoot down on people coming in if you wanted. And it's quite good the way that it turns the corner a little bit before going up this sort of little cliff edge, because people shouldn't be able to just tech rifle your turret wall from outside the cave. But yeah, not a bad little spot. plenty of stuff for all your crafting and some breeding and stuff. You can breed practically everything except for huge dinos in here, I guess. And I'll just fly out this way so you can see what you're kind of looking for when you come to it, as this is probably the easier way to actually come and scout this place. Because if you get it fresh, you probably want to try and keep the harvestable rocks at the entrance to keep it covered. Anyway, on to the next location. Right, this next spot's around 47.2, 91.7. Now this spot I think depends on the server you're playing on or the cluster you're playing on or something, because I can remember using it ages ago, but the last time I tried using it, which was on an ArcPoc playthrough I think, I couldn't actually build here, and I was kind of shocked, so I had to go find another base location. But I'm sure it probably works on small tribes and regular official at least. It might have been because on that season they might not have had like cave building enabled or something like that, I don't really know. But it's a nice little spot. It's really tucked away. This bit doesn't register as water, so if somebody does come down here and just jump down here, they're kind of committed to it really, unless they've got something they can get out on easily like a flyer. But then if you can build here, you've got a lot of room for all your crafting stuff, and you can do a good bit of basic breeding here with small dinos as well. And you can build on this bottom bit as well if you wanted to even out the terrain or just expand your base down here as well. But this spot might get scouted reasonably often, so I'd probably just keep it as a temporary base location unless you really did want to try building it up. So that was spot number 5, let's move on to spot number 6. Okay, this next spot's around 84.6, 96.5, and it's right on the far southeast of the map, and it's just tucked away in this little crevice at the edge of this cliff. I'll just fly out and show you. But then you've got that kind of ledge there that's just above it that if you really wanted to, you could expand onto over time. Or you could just keep this as a little temporary base location hidden under here. But there's no real restrictions for building, it's just a bit hard to build here, so you're better just using some triangle ceilings to fill out for now. If you want to keep it hidden, just make sure you turn off your fires in the night, because I imagine there'll be quite a big glow coming from this little gap in the night if you leave them on. So that's about it for that one. Let's move on to the next base location. So this next location's around 9.2, 57.4, all the way up in the snow biome. And it's almost against the edge of the map, it's just in a little crevice in this cliff. Now there is a bit of building restrictions, you can only seem to build up to like the edge of where I've built the ceilings to. But from past there you can put some foundations around there. And if you just fill out that little gap, I guess, with triangle ceilings as well, that should be enough room to get some basic crafting stuff on the go. So yeah, just another little temporary base location or another little solo hideaway. But it is out of the line of sight from basically all angles unless you start building up, I guess. So that was spot number 7. Let's go and check out the next base location. Alright, this next location's around 78.5, 63.6. And it's basically the long thin tunnel down in the Salt Cliffs region. So a lot of you have probably either accidentally gone through this or know exactly where it is anyway. But it can be quite a good base location because you've got really long narrow choke points that you can put turret walls quite far around the corners so people can't just tech rifle your things. Obviously you're only restricted to small dinos for soaking as well. The two entrances to the tunnel are really far from each other, so it is quite unlikely that a raiding party will actually be keeping an eye on both entrances. Even though it's reasonably thin, you've still got practically all the room you need for all your crafting and breeding, etc. It is cave damage though, I wasn't sure if this tunnel would class as a cave or not, but yes it does. Anyway, I think that pretty much explains itself, so let's head back down to the Ab Zone for the last 2 base locations. Alright, this next base location is around 35.6, 64.9 down in the Aberration zone. And in this big metal structure you've got quite a lot of building room really. Unfortunately you can't pillar down to actually maintain foundations right across the area, so you'll have to set sets of like triangle foundations and ceilings like this for different layers. But you should be able to line them up pretty well in some places to get a good size floor or two. And then you've got plenty of building room up and down. Unfortunately you can't fit a cliff platform in here on official. That would make things much easier if you could. And then the other advantage is that there's only one decent size entrance to get through on here, which is up here. Obviously being down in the Aberration zone you can't use flyers, so that complicates things a bit as well. To get here as well you're just basically looking for this big circular metal structure just before you get to the radiation zone. And then yeah, you just scoot in this little gap here. Now there is another little entrance to this as well, but it's a little crouch spot, so you can't really do much with this. But still got to be aware of it so you can keep it covered just in case someone tries and grapples up and throws in a turtle or something. But yeah, you should be generally pretty hidden away in here. And because you can snap triangle foundations to most places up the wall, then you can basically put a floor wherever you want. So anyway, let's move on to the last base location. Okay, this last location's around 37.5, 64.4, and it's literally just around the corner from the previous location. It's on that same giant circular structure, but basically on the opposite side of it. And it's a lovely tucked away area against the ceiling. You can only put foundations up on that ledge up there, but then you can build ceilings over, pillar down, and then you can actually snap foundations under there like I've done. Because as you can see, you can't actually snap foundations on the floor normally. So yeah, got to use a little bit of building tricks, but then you've got plenty of building space up here. And then if you want to build out more towards the edge of the ledge as well, you've got plenty of room for breeding, etc. It's a really nice location. And because as you know, you can't have flyers in the Aberration zone, it's going to be quite an awkward one to raid as well. This is the only hole where it's accessible to actually get up here without needing to go up onto the ledge. So that makes it easier for turret coverage as well. But any of the vulnerable points where people could get up, I'd probably just plaster in bear traps. Make it just as awkward as hell for people to try and even get up on the ledge. But lovely little spot. Probably a spot that a lot of people haven't really tried building at again because they probably thought you could only put a few foundations on that back bit and didn't really bother pillaring down to see if you could snap more foundations. So yeah, hopefully it's not really known about and scouted much because of that. Alright survivors, well thanks for watching. That was 10 hidden base locations on Valguero. I hope there was at least a spot in the video to suit your space requirements and needs. Well, if you learned something new or just enjoyed the video, please drop a like and a sub to the channel would be amazing, and I shall catch you guys in the next one. Goodbye for now. Peace.